Welcome to another episode of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast. We empower your growth through candid conversation. I fucked it up again. Okay, ready? Welcome to Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast. We are your guide towards personal recovery, whether you're dealing with an addiction, a mental health issue, or you're just trying to figure some things out in life. We empower your growth through honest conversations and demystifying the process of therapy. I'm Manny Romero. Jesse O.
This week on Time Sessions, we talk about seasonal affective disorder. 'Tis the season for depression.
That's right. Make sure you share the show with your friends, subscribe, and share the show. I don't know what else to say. How many times do I have to tell you?
Let's go! You know that I sang in the intro today.
That was really impressive.
I was a little off key, I will admit. I didn't get to warm up. But my man just found out that, before we go into our time session, of course.
Oh, I'm a bass.
He's bass, man.
There's this app on Instagram. I don't know what it was, but it was like targeting me. It was like, do you want to sing really bad, but everyone's telling you suck? I was like, yes.
Did it say that on the app?
No, but it was. I could tell that it was giving me.
It's your
it was
perception.
really
Got
nice,
it.
you know.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I want to figure out how to sing, because I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's times where I kick a couple back, you know, and I'm like, man, I really want to sing, you know? And I like karaoke, but I don't got the voice. I just don't. And I think I sound good, but then apparently I don't. So so I found out they're like, all right, sing these tones, and it records me, and it's like, you're a bass.
Were you by yourself when you did
this? I did
this?
it with my wife.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm a good husband.
So you
yeah, I don't hide things from my wife. I show up. No, I don't know. I'm just.
Wait, who is this to right now? Is this to me? Like, I don't understand.
I just said that because I think I said that in a previous episode.
Okay.
But anyway, back to track here. Yeah. So I found that it's like, you're a bass.
Back on track. So they said
track.
you're on.
Yeah. Hey, English was my second language, dog.
And you're doing so well at it.
Yeah. So I'm a bass, and so apparently I didn't know this, but you can extend your voice. Like, you can push yourself to the limit, and extend the tone of your voice.
Yeah.
And so I can exercise doing that a little bit.
It's awesome,
but
man.
But yeah, I figured I'm a Johnny Cash type of voice. You know, I'll walk the line. Because you're mine. I almost messed that lyric up.
It's okay, man.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Boys to Men, you're the dude in Boys to Men who's like, hey, baby.
Yeah. Do you think I have potential?
I think you have so much potential. Ooh. So rhythm and bass and the bass. Wait, when rhythm meets the bass.
And the bass is the treble.
There you go. Chords, strings. Yeah, we did the whole Warren G, Nate Dogg.
Melodies.
Yeah, we did that off camera, and I screwed it up on camera. So this week on Time Sessions, 'tis the season for depression, like, all joking aside, but this is the time of year where, the holidays hit people pretty hard.
For different reasons.
Yeah, and, I guess also, too, before we start into, like, holiday conversations and talk, but we have the time change, right? So it gets darker here in Southern California, even though I think they went to change the bill, but I don't know what's going on with that. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard they wanted to change it. I don't know what that means. I know it's kind of weird, though. Arizona doesn't have it, right? Like,
I think this was like an outdated like bill where we used to like turn back the clocks for like farmers so they could like with their crops, but like
I don't understand it.
But it doesn't really impact. There's not as much significance anymore.
Yeah.
So
I kind of like it. I'll tell you why.
You like the time change?
I like the time change on the winter time change.
Yeah, the fall, winter. Yeah.
The only reason why I like it is I don't. There's no relevance to my life today, but when I was 21 years old, time always changes on my birthday, around my birthday. Yeah. So I hit my 21st year birthday hit on a Saturday, and time changes on a Saturday. So like it was like 12 o'clock or something. We were like partying, and then we're all drinking, and then all of a sudden we see the time go back, and we bought an hour.
Damn.
And everyone had to go to work on Sunday, but we're like, hey, we got an extra hour. Like, this is the best year ever. And so that's because of that memory.
Because of that memory, you still love it. I used to like it because you would spring ahead and you fall back. So like falling back, you would get an extra hour of sleep. But being a parent, time change don't mean shit.
Your
So
kid doesn't know about time change.
But with the time change I was trying to bring up was that like it does get darker outside, get a lot earlier, and that can the change in weather can really impact people's moods.
Yeah.
I've sat like with clients. I sat with people. Have you ever had that rainy day experience where you just kind of like you feel a little bit lazier than you usually do because and you feel like maybe I want to do nothing because it's darker outside or it's colder outside. So is that what seasonal affective disorder is? Do you want to start to talk about that?
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit.
But talk about the weather.
I think it has more to do with sunlight, right? Like I think with seasonal affective disorder, people get depressed and they get down, and usually it's because, or the research says it's because of there's less sun out, right? And so,
and like the sun is like a natural like stimulant. People like, it does it. It's good for self-care. Like I'm sure you probably gave in the suggestion of like, getting outside. Like sometimes when I'm at work and I'm like, I realize I've been trapped inside an office all day long. I can go step outside for a few minutes. It's like a refresher almost.
There's so many aspects to it, right? It's like the sun itself, the all the good things that you're getting from it chemically, but also like
vitamin D.
Yeah, vitamin D.
We talking about them chemicals.
I know, yeah, that sounded so bad. But like also like just the experience of being outside, the experience of feeling warmth on you, like having light. You get off at 5 o'clock and it's still light outside versus you get off at 5 when the time changes and it's like dark out and it's like, oh man, I can't do anything.
Right.
So there's so many aspects to it. But yeah, people do get depressed, and I think one of the things I wanted to talk about was that I always get depressed around my birthday, and my birthday lands in November, and my wife was talking to me about how she feels bad around this time because her dad gets depressed too, and another one of our family members gets depressed, and so we're like, and I was thinking like, man, like I think I have this seasonal affective disorder because around my birthday, like I don't want to celebrate like I used to. Like I don't want to I feel just it's hard for me to get excited about seeing friends and hanging out with people. I start questioning so many things like, are these my real friends? Or I get really negative and like.
Before we answer this question, I do want to. I know you won't forget this question, but I want to ask you, for those that are listening and have never heard of seasonal affective disorder, it's called S.A.D, right?
Yeah. Abbreviated.
Yeah, no pun intended, right? So, or pun intended.
Maybe.
Is it like a disorder like you would get like if you're a bipolar disorder, right? How would that be something like you could be diagnosed with? And I'm not trying to compare the two because there's a severity in the disorders. You would say just clinically, what would you say?
Yeah, I think I don't want to compare them. It is a disorder.
I just think more of it.
You do get diagnosed. You can get treatment for it.
Okay.
Whether it's therapy or with a doctor, you can get treated for it. And it does vary. Like people who experience seasonal affective disorder, it can be as severe as feeling major depressive symptoms like suicidal ideation or like isolating, feeling super alone, crying a lot. Like you could definitely go down there. So it's hard to compare the two. But in terms of severity, it could be severe. The severity varies. It could be really severe, or it could be somewhat you just kind of notice, right? Like that you get more down.
You don't ever diagnose people, right? You can.
I do.
Do you remember like? I don't want the experience, but like, do you remember diagnosing someone with like S.A.D?
No, I don't think I diagnosed someone with seasonal affective.
Because I've never heard that before. Somebody like I was diagnosed, that's but it is a disorder. So like
you get into things like is that covered? Like, you know what I mean? Like
well, that's not a real one. Like let's just leave this one off the table. Okay.
Yeah, maybe we should just go major depression because it's like covered, But yeah, it's kind of
these are the things you got to pay attention to when you're working in the field.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But back to like talking about your birthday. So like you start really like
thinking about it.
So. This will tie into like the holiday talk a little bit. As I got older with like my birthday, like I think
you're October, right? Your birthday?
July.
Sorry, you're married in October. Messed that up. Are we friends?
Nope, we are not. So, I'm a Leo, man.
Yeah,
so,
not bad.
What's your sign?
Scorpio.
You sure?
I'm very sure.
What are signs of a Scorpio? You never looked into it?
I've always been told that we have like there's always like some things around sexual energy
Yup.
with Scorpio, like like we're kind of moody, we're assholes, but we're also very kind. But
Okay.
but yeah, we got like I think moodiness and like there's like this sexual like prowess to I don't know energy.
Sexual prowess?
Yeah, bringing that back.
So it's like around my birthday, like I did like experience, like I think I shared like on the episode of like a while back of like on my birthday, like going through kind of like a depression, but that was more based on like how old I was and the shift in my life, like being a father now, like how that was like more my direction, and it was like this new role for me. I think what I'll do with holidays a lot, and like I did this with like, let's say, Christmas for years. I put a lot of weight on the holiday, like this expectation of what it's going to be. Is that what you're doing with your birthday? Is there like an expectation of like, who's going to text me happy birthday? Are you keeping receipts? Is something we've talked about on here. So what is it about like the holiday? Is it you getting older? Something we've also talked about before previously, the idea of just like, who are you in life right now?
I think it is. Now that you're talking about it, I think it's about not getting older, but changing. You know, I think I want different things from friendships. I want different things from relationships, and I'm looking for different things. Whereas before, maybe I wanted to like fuck around a lot and like laugh and joke and drink and like now like I'm looking for more meaningful relationships, like deeper relationships, more connection, more talking about real stuff, more support, more reassurance. I want someone on my side, like who like roots for me, who like wants me to do well. Like that's the type of friend I want. And I know like starting in my 30s, I think I started to recognize this feeling of like, man, like I don't feel like I kind of feel this sort of disconnection with like people. And so in my 30s, I threw this big party, but it was more out of obligation, you know, than it was because I wanted it. And because of that, I also I could tell like I wasn't having as much fun. I was a little bit upset about the way things turned out. I was like, I wasn't happy. And then as the next year, I think I just did something a little lighter with just a couple friends. And then last year, because this is the last 3 years that I've noticed this. Last year, I just did something with my family, with my wife and my kids, you know. And this year, I'm thinking, what do I want to do for my birthday? I'm like, nothing. I want to go have some dinner, or like, I just want my family to be happy for my birthday.
I think that your motives have changed too. I mean, you're a father now. I think that there is just more of a focus on like family and the idea of like celebrating you. Like, you probably like, it'll be nice to get some acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I relate with a lot what you're saying, but I guess when does the depression come up? Are we talking like, is it now, or is it like?
Yeah, no, not now. Probably
like a month before.
It'll probably come up like the week of my birthday, and then it'll. So the last year, it came up the week of my birthday, and then it cycled. Last year, I threw like a mental health challenge that I did, and I did it for myself a little bit.
Do you want to talk what the mental challenge was?
Yeah, so I went on Instagram and I went on live for 30 minutes and talked about different aspects of mental health, and practices that you could implement to like get to boost your mental health a little. And I did it for 5 days, and it was kind of cool. Like I was like, okay, like I had some people that engaged with me and that were like a part of it and participated. I helped some people. And then I felt like I helped myself too, because I was like, I'm going through some shit right now, and this is a way for me to not only do something that helping people with it, which is in my realm, and but also help myself. So I don't know, maybe I might do that again at some point, but yeah, the symptoms start hitting for me, and I'll talk about what they look like, because it's not just like, oh, like I'm depressed and I'm in my bed. For me, it's a little different. I drink a lot. I'll like maybe get a little too drunk. And through being intoxicated, I'll like say something like, you know what I mean? Like that'll show that I'm hurt, or like, I remember having a friend that I was like, I don't know, I just started telling them something, and I was like, where's this coming from for me? Like, why am I being rude to this person? 2 birthdays ago, I drank so much I blacked out, I remember, and like the next day my parents had like a family dinner they wanted to do with me, and I didn't make it because I was like so hungover. But I remember that action of drinking a lot, blacking out, not being able to go see my family afterwards made me feel worse, and I got into a deeper depression after that. And
not a shocker though, right? Like
yeah,
this is
yeah. But that's how it'll show up for me, where it's like, I'll just kind of want to like numb out. I want to just like use alcohol to try to like feel better or like feel better, have fun, right? And it's not good. And I think last year when I recognized this, I was like, I have to really implement some things so that I plan for this time in my life, because I get depressed. And I feel like this is where, if you do experience seasonal affective disorder, it's something that's like you can think about. It's like, okay, this time's coming up. How can you start to get ready for this moment in your life, right? Like, to help you get through through this period. And I think for me, what helped is like I didn't drink. I spent time with family, and I really was intentional about who I was around. You know what I mean?
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. And I tried to just be a little more forgiving to myself, like compassionate to myself, or whatever, whether it was I missed an appointment, or not a client appointment, but like I don't know, I missed a haircut appointment, or I didn't go to the gym, or whatever it is, right? But like the fact that like I'm being more self-compassionate towards myself. So I don't know. I just think, and I'm 33, so I'm like, young in this process of rediscovering what the hell is happening to me. But I think that people can benefit from that, having some sort of a plan.
If you want to like segue a little bit into the holidays, then would you want to like? Yeah. I was gonna ask you, this coming up Thanksgiving and Christmas, and people really will have a strong opinion about the holidays. Like I'll have some people like, I hate the holidays. Yeah. Growing up, were the holidays for you? Were they good? Was it a good time of year to celebrate? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, it was fun growing up. I have a lot of cousins and uncles, and we used to live in Oceanside. We had this neighborhood. People would come over, and it was really fun actually. It was, as a kid growing up, it was fun. But as I got older, especially now with my wife, it's so stressful, the holidays.
On that tip right there, I wanted to say, like, growing up for me, like the holidays, like I like the holidays a lot. Mm-hmm. But the holidays, I don't want to say they were bad for me, but like a lot of it was tied around financial things. And I remember like how financially, like at times we were like lower middle class, like poor growing up at times. Yeah. So like holidays, at least for me, like represented like, celebrating and like presents and like not all Christmases, but a lot of times Christmases were they fell a little short. But it was interesting is I never hated like Christmas or disliked the holidays. I know both of my sisters don't like the holidays, and I don't have them on the show, and I don't have the answer why they don't like the holidays, but I was always the weird one that liked the holidays. And for me, like I always thought of the holidays as kind of like a hopeful time of year. Like I, for some reason, like just it's supposed to be a season where people come together and you go a step above. And now a lot of times I think people might see it as like financially, like you buy something for somebody really nice, but no, maybe you don't do a lot of good deeds, but maybe this time of year you can do a good deed. So like helping your fellow man or woman. I don't know. I always liked the holidays a lot. And like I said, I didn't have the best holidays. And I realized that some people might hate the holidays because it's traumatic experiences or maybe people
family stuff.
Yeah, family stuff, or maybe they've lost people that aren't in their lives anymore and they can't celebrate. But I always thought of like the holidays as like a hopeful, positive thing, and I enjoyed the time of year. And but I would say also too, like with like Christmas and then like New Year's, when I was like going through like hard times in my life, when it came to like when I wasn't sober, I remember like always thinking like maybe this New Year's, this will be my year. I used to say that all the time, like this is my opportunity, my New Year, to change things.
This is my year for real.
Yeah, and then a lot of times they would not fall flat, but yeah. So you've always had good experiences with the holidays. Some people
growing up.
But you said more stressful because
We'll get into like some really specific stuff, but like I think me and my wife like deciding how we're gonna split up holiday time because both our families are here, and so both our families have different traditions and both our families want us there. Now that we have kids, the pressure's even higher. Now we have to figure out like who's gonna see the kids, how are we gonna make time for the kids to see everybody, but also like. When you have kids, I don't know if you experienced this or if you want to talk about it at all, but like when you have kids, like my parents, the dynamic that they have with me and my wife on like parenting my kid is so stressful. Like they have their things of like what we should, what we shouldn't do. We have our things of what we should and what we shouldn't do. And bringing that together and exposing that can be so stressful and taxing for me and my wife because it's like we get insecure about like, hey, like screw you, like it's our kid, or like old stuff started coming up like you never did that for us, like you're going really easy on my kid, like but for me like you didn't let me do this, you didn't. So like it gets stressful that way where like family history stuff comes up and it intensifies those moments. So it does get stressful right now, where me and my wife got to talk through like, hey, like I got your back. Like if you have any issues going on, like let me know. We'll take a break. We leave whenever we got to leave. Like so we just want to survive sometimes these holiday moments.
Yeah, and then we talked about one of the episodes not too long ago about like sometimes surviving, just getting through things, surviving through the day, but like surviving through the holidays. So I can't speak on that yet because I haven't like really experienced that. Like my daughter's still very young, but I want to bring up the idea of like getting through the holidays a little bit. Like how can we get through those that do struggle through the holidays? Because this also is a time of year where you're around a lot more family and maybe. Yeah. Certain things can be triggered emotionally for you, and triggers can be like emotions that also could be triggered to like maybe do unhealthy things if it's like drink or use drugs or whatever it is. Like it could be self-harm even, to survive the holidays, to get through the holidays, what are like some ideas that you would suggest to our viewers, like if you're in the holidays and you don't like the holidays and it's a real depressing time of year for you, like what's the way to get through the holidays?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing as I said earlier. It's like having a plan. I think they affect everyone differently. So if like I'll give you an example, if you can relate to how holidays affect me and the stress that it brings with me and my family, like a lot of it has to do around me sort of talking to myself of like, hey, like preparing myself to go into a situation that might be stressful, where I might get triggered, where my mom might say something that triggers me, or my mom's friend might say something that triggers me, and I just be like, hey, like try to just remember that they don't mean anything, or that they're still in their journey and that you're in a different journey. Give myself some self-compassion, some kindness, some words of affirmation. Have a plan with my wife of like, hey, if I need to step out, like let's go, or like let's have a code word or something we say just to end stuff, and give yourself permission to set boundaries and be like, you know what, dude, like that's not okay, or like I don't want to hear this right now. Can we just talk about something else? Or you know what, I don't think I can be here any longer.
No, you nailed it. Like that was a lot of what I was just gonna say right now. So the plan and like setting boundaries. That's really like important for this time of year. I want to say this too, is like people really believe in tradition. And traditions are made sometimes from families, or we're just kind of given tradition, but you can start new traditions.
You should.
And it's okay to if if you celebrate Christmas or Thanksgiving a certain year for years and years and years, and it's changed as well. People don't want to break away from tradition, but it's okay to start new traditions. And so if you are a person that's like, I dread the holidays, I hate the holidays, like try to make the best of it. Like
I would almost wonder like what do you hate about the holidays, so we can identify what's happening and how we can move away from that. Because maybe there's things that you're doing because you think you should do it, because it's a ritual that has been established and passed down, but you don't have to. Right. You can choose. I love that. I was going to say last thing too is like a plan for after you're done meeting, you're done doing the holiday thing with your family. It's like, what do you need afterwards to replenish yourself or to like give yourself something to come back from that, whether it's like quiet time or hanging out with that one friend to vent about what just happened, right? Like, what do you need to help yourself recover? Because that's important too.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah. How are we doing on time?
I think we're out of time.
Damn, I always do this to you.
What are you talking about? No, you're good. We're at a good spot.
All
So.
right, man. Good stuff.